The tears came without warning, streaming down 16-year-old Sophia Rodriguez's face as she stood at the Family Feud podium, her hand instinctively moving to the gentle curve of her 6-month pregnant belly. The question had seemed simple enough. Name something you miss most when you're away from home. But for Sophia, it opened a wound that had been carefully bandaged for half a year. "My mom and dad," she whispered into the microphone, her voice breaking with the weight of 6 months of separation, regret, and desperate longing for the family that had asked her to leave. When they discovered her pregnancy, beside her stood her aunt, Linda Martinez, 42 years old, and carrying the exhausted weight of someone who had been trying to bridge an impossible divide between love and disappointment. Between traditional values and unconditional family support, Linda had been Sophia's lifeline for 6 months, taking in her pregnant niece when her own sister had made the heartbreaking decision to ask Sophia to leave their family home. Steve Harvey felt his chest tighten with recognition of deep family pain. In his decades of hosting, he had learned to recognize when contestants were carrying burdens that went far beyond typical family dynamics. Something about Sophia's tears, the protective way Linda stood beside her, and the careful way they had described their living situation during introductions, told him that this was a family in crisis. The studio audience murmured with sympathy, understanding that they were witnessing more than teen emotions. They were seeing the aftermath of one of the most painful decisions any family could face. What to do when love collides with values, when disappointment meets unconditional care, when tradition confronts reality. Let me take you back to how we got here. 6 months ago, Sophia Rodriguez had been a typical 10th grader at Roosevelt High School in San Antonio, living with her parents, Maria and Carlos Rodriguez, in a close-knit Mexican-American household where family values, Catholic faith, and traditional expectations shaped daily life. The Rodriguez family had built their life in San Antonio through hard work and unwavering commitment to providing their children with opportunities. Carlos worked as a mechanic, while Maria managed the household and worked part-time at a local grocery store. At 15, Sophia had gotten involved with 17-year-old David Santos from her school. When their relationship led to pregnancy, both teenagers had been terrified and overwhelmed. David's family had essentially abandoned the situation, leaving Sophia feeling alone. The discovery of Sophia's pregnancy had shattered the Rodriguez family's carefully held beliefs. Maria had found the positive pregnancy test and confronted her daughter with shock, disappointment, and heartbreak. "How could you throw away everything we've worked for?" Maria had asked, not from cruelty, but from genuine inability to understand how her daughter had strayed from their values. Carlos's reaction had been even more devastating. "You've disgraced this family," he had told her, words that cut deeper than any physical punishment. As Sophia's pregnancy became visible, strain on the Rodriguez family increased. During a family dinner, Carlos had made the decision that would haunt him for months. "Sophia, you cannot stay here anymore. Your choices have consequences." Linda Martinez, Maria's younger sister and a nurse, had immediately offered to take Sophia in. For 6 months, Linda had provided stability, medical care, and emotional support, enrolling Sophia in a special program for pregnant teens. But despite Linda's love and support, Sophia had never stopped missing her parents and her family home. She cried herself to sleep most nights, wondering if her mother was thinking about her, if her father would ever forgive her, if she would be welcomed back into the family once the baby was born. The Family Feud opportunity had come through Linda's workplace. The show was featuring families in transition week, and Linda had applied, hoping the experience might give Sophia confidence during a difficult time. During the drive to Atlanta, Sophia had been quiet and reflective. "Do you think Mom watches Family Feud?" she had asked Linda. "Do you think she'll see us?" The Family Feud studios had been overwhelming for Sophia. During introductions, she had presented herself carefully. "I'm Sophia Rodriguez. I'm 16 years old, and I'm from San Antonio. I'm currently staying with my Aunt Linda while I finish high school and prepare for my baby." Steve had approached the introduction with sensitivity, understanding that teenage pregnancy was a topic requiring careful handling. "Congratulations on the baby, Sophia. That's exciting. How are you feeling?" "Scared but hopeful," Sophia had answered honestly. I know I made a mistake, but I'm trying to do the right things now." The audience had responded with supportive applause, and Steve had nodded with respect. That's what matters. Learning from our experiences and making good choices going forward. Your Aunt Linda seems like she's been a good support system for you. The game had progressed with Sophia participating thoughtfully, but emotionally. The Rodriguez-Martinez family was playing against the Johnson family from Georgia, and both teams had been supportive and encouraging. Rather than competitive, Linda had carried most of the family's responses, while Sophia had contributed when she felt confident about answers. During the second round, when Steve asked for things that help people through difficult times, Sophia had buzzed in with family support, earning a spot on the board and a meaningful look from Steve, who understood that for someone in her situation, family support was both critically important and painfully absent. But it was during the fourth round that the moment arrived that would change everything for Sophia Rodriguez. Steve had announced the survey question with his usual energy, not knowing that he was about to ask something that would touch the deepest part of Sophia's longing for home and family. Name something you miss most when you're away from home. The question hung in the studio air, seemingly straightforward but carrying devastating weight for someone who had been separated from family, not by choice, but by circumstances that felt both preventable and irreversible. For most contestants, it would generate answers about home cooking, familiar routines, or childhood bedrooms. But for Sophia, standing on that stage in front of millions of viewers, the question forced her to confront the loss that had been aching in her chest for 6 months. Sophia stepped up to the microphone, and for a moment, all the preparation and coaching Linda had provided fell away. She was just a 16-year-old girl who missed her mother desperately, who wanted to go home more than anything in the world, whose pregnancy had created a chasm between her and the people she loved most. "My mom and dad," Sophia said, her voice breaking as tears began to flow. "I miss my mom and dad." The studio fell quiet as the weight of that simple statement settled over everyone present. This wasn't just a game show answer, it was a daughter's cry for reconciliation, a teenager's admission of how much family separation had cost her. Steve Harvey slowly set down his index cards, something in Sophia's tears, in the way she had said, "Mom and Dad," with such longing, told him that this was a moment requiring more than standard game show response. "Sophia," Steve said gently, moving closer to her, "it sounds like there's more to that story. Can you tell us what's going on with your family?" Sophia looked at Linda, who gave her an encouraging nod, understanding that this was Sophia's story to tell and her pain to express. 6 months ago, Sophia began, her voice shaking but growing stronger as she spoke. "My parents asked me to leave home when they found out I was pregnant. They were so disappointed in me, so angry about the choices I made. They said I had disgraced our family." The audience murmured with sympathy, many people recognizing the impossible position that families face when teenage pregnancy challenges deeply held values and expectations. "I know I made a mistake," Sophia continued, her hand moving protectively to her belly. "I know I disappointed them, but I miss them so much. I miss my mom's cooking. I miss watching TV with my dad. I miss feeling like I belong somewhere. I miss being their daughter." Steve felt his chest tighten with emotion. As someone who valued family deeply, he could imagine the pain on both sides of this separation. A daughter who needed her family's support during one of the most vulnerable times in her life, and parents who were struggling to reconcile their love for their daughter with their disappointment in her choices. "Sophia," Steve said, "do your parents know how you feel? Do they know how much you miss them?" "I don't know," Sophia replied honestly. "I haven't talked to them since I left. I want to call, but I'm afraid they'll hang up. I want to go home, but I don't know if they want me there." Linda stepped closer to Sophia, offering silent support while Steve processed what he had just heard. But what happened next was something no one had anticipated. During Sophia's emotional explanation, a woman backstage had been sobbing. Maria Rodriguez had been watching the live broadcast from home in San Antonio when she recognized her daughter on screen. For 6 months, Maria had been living with the agony of missing Sophia. When Carlos left for work that morning, Maria had made a decision she'd been contemplating for months. She had driven to the airport, bought a ticket to Atlanta, and convinced security she needed to be there for her daughter. Now, Watching Sophia cry about missing her parents, Maria understood this was her moment to choose love over pride, forgiveness over judgment. While this reunion was developing backstage, Steve was continuing his conversation with Sophia on stage, unaware that her mother was just 20 feet away. "Sophia," Steve said, "I want you to know that the love between parents and children is stronger than any mistake, any disappointment, any circumstance. Sometimes families need time to work through difficult situations, but that doesn't mean the love goes away." Steve turned to address the cameras and audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a young woman here who made a mistake, the kind of mistake that millions of teenagers make, but who is taking responsibility, working to build a good life for herself and her baby, and hoping for reconciliation with the family she loves." But Steve wasn't finished with this moment that had transcended entertainment and touched something fundamental about family forgiveness and unconditional love. "You know, Sophia," Steve said, "sometimes when people are hoping for reconciliation, the universe has a way of bringing families together when they're ready to heal." As he spoke, a production assistant approached the stage and whispered something urgent in Steve's earpiece. Steve's eyes widened as he listened, and he looked toward the wings of the stage, where Maria Rodriguez was standing, tears streaming down her face, carrying the weight of 6 months of regret and desperate love. "Sophia," Steve said, his voice carrying unusual gravity, "I need you to stay right there for a moment, okay? Don't move from that spot." Sophia nodded, confusion clear on her face, but trusting that Steve had something important to share. "Ladies and gentlemen," Steve announced, turning to address the studio audience and cameras. "Sometimes television gives us the privilege of witnessing something that reminds us that family love is stronger than any circumstance, any disappointment, any separation. Sometimes the answer to a prayer arrives exactly when someone is brave enough to voice their deepest need." He gestured toward the wings of the stage. "Sophia, there's someone here who has missed you more than words can express. Someone who has learned that love is more important than disappointment, that family is more important than social expectations. Maria Rodriguez, would you please come out here?" From backstage emerged a woman who looked exactly like an older version of Sophia, visibly shaking with emotion, her face showing 6 months of sleepless nights and maternal anguish. Maria walked slowly toward her daughter, each step carrying the weight of regret, hope, and desperate love. Sophia watched her mother approach with growing disbelief and overwhelming emotion. "Mom?" she whispered, hardly daring to believe what she was seeing. "Sophia, mi amor," Maria said, her voice breaking with 6 months of suppressed emotion. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for making you leave, for choosing disappointment over love, for letting pride keep us apart when you needed me most." The studio was completely silent, 300 people witnessing what might be one of the most important conversations of Sophia's life. "I've missed you every single day," Maria continued, tears flowing freely. "I've made your bed every morning. I've cooked your favorite foods and forgotten you weren't coming home. I've wanted to call you 1,000 times, but didn't know how to ask for forgiveness." Sophia stared at her mother, her 16-year-old heart struggling to process this moment she had dreamed about for 6 months. "But Mom, what about Dad? What about the family honor? What about the baby?" Maria stepped closer, her eyes moving to Sophia's pregnant belly with wonder and love rather than disappointment. "Sophia, this baby is my granddaughter. This baby is family. How could I choose honor over my own flesh and blood?" She gently placed her hand on Sophia's belly, and for the first time in 6 months, both women felt the baby kick, as if responding to her grandmother's touch. "I want you to come home," Maria said, looking directly into Sophia's eyes. "Both of you. I want to take care of you during these last months. I want to help you prepare for the baby. I want to be your mother again." "But what about Dad?" Sophia asked, still afraid to hope for complete reconciliation. Maria smiled through her tears. "Your father has been as miserable as I have. He's just too stubborn to admit it. But when he sees us together, when he holds his granddaughter, his heart will remember what mine never forgot. That family forgives, family supports, family loves unconditionally." The studio audience erupted in applause. But it wasn't the typical game show reaction. It was the sound of three herder people recognizing that they had witnessed something sacred. A family choosing love over pride, forgiveness over judgment. Steve Harvey then did something that would become one of the most meaningful moments in Family Feud history. He removed his suit jacket, his lucky jacket that he wore to every taping, and approached Sophia and Maria. "Ladies," Steve said, his voice thick with emotion. "This jacket has been with me for every show I've hosted, but today, it belongs with a family that just proved that love is stronger than any mistake, any disappointment, any temporary separation." He placed the jacket around Sophia's shoulders, encompassing both her and her mother in a gesture of protection and blessing. "Sophia," Steve continued, "you're going to be okay. You've got a mother who loves you enough to travel across the country to ask for forgiveness. You've got an aunt who supported you when you needed it most, and you're going to be a wonderful mother because you understand what unconditional love looks like." Sophia pulled her mother close, feeling for the first time in 6 months like she was home, like she belonged somewhere completely. "I love you, Mom," Sophia said. "I'm sorry for disappointing you." "No, mi amor," Maria replied. "I'm sorry for letting disappointment matter more than love. That will never happen again." Linda approached the mother-daughter reunion with tears of joy and relief. "I'm so happy you're here, Maria. I've been taking good care of her, but she needs her mother. Thank you for loving her when I was too hurt to love her properly," Maria replied, embracing her sister as well. What happened after the camera stopped rolling became a model for family reconciliation. Maria and Sophia returned to San Antonio together, where Carlos was gradually won over by his wife's determination and his daughter's maturity. Isabella Rodriguez was born 3 months later. With both grandparents present, Carlos discovered that his granddaughter brought joy he had never anticipated. Sophia completed high school through a program for teen mothers and went to community college, studying early childhood education. The episode sparked conversations about teen pregnancy, family support, and choosing love over judgment. Steve Harvey's foundation established a support program for families dealing with teen pregnancy. The jacket became a symbol of family forgiveness and second chances. Maria often says Sophia's pregnancy initially seemed like the worst thing that could happen to their family, but ultimately taught them about unconditional love. "We learned that family means loving each other, especially when it's difficult." The lesson that 16-year-old Sophia taught that day extends far beyond teen pregnancy or family dynamics. She reminded the world that mistakes don't define worth, that young people deserve support during their most vulnerable moments, and that families are strongest when they choose love over pride. Steve Harvey learned that day that the most powerful moments in television happen when you're willing to facilitate real reconciliation. Sometimes a game show host can do more than entertain. Sometimes he can help families remember what truly matters. Linda discovered that sometimes the most important gift you can give someone isn't just shelter, but also the space and support they need to find their way back to the people who love them most. Because that's what family forgiveness looks like. That's what unconditional love sounds like, and that's what happens when a mother's love proves stronger than disappointment, when a daughter's need for family overcomes fear of rejection, proving that the most important victories happen not when families avoid mistakes, but when they choose to heal from them together.